Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle, and in this video I am going to share with you the books that I got from the library at my very first curbside pickup. So our libraries have reopened in the sense that you can now return materials. However, you can only return materials to 4 of the branch libraries within the city. And curbside pickup is available for books that you put on hold, but only books from within the city, and you can only pick them up at one of those 4 locations. But I'll take it. The libraries have been closed for so long. I am so excited that that we can get books out of the library in any manner. So it was a very interesting experience. I've never had this kind of library experience before. So the branch that I went to this time around, the Sherwood Village branch, I followed the stickers on the sidewalk that guided me to where the holds could be picked up, and the glass doors were there and I could see the librarians inside, and there was a security guard on the outside to ensure that everybody was, you know, behaving themselves. And there were signs everywhere telling you what to do and where to stand, and so you had to take out your library card and hold it up against the glass after you'd gotten the attention of one of the librarians. And they even very helpfully put this sticker on the glass in the exact shape of your library card. You held it up there, and from inside they scanned your card and accessed your account, went and got your holds, took them out for you, put them in a bag, and then they came outside. You had to stay where you were and put them on the table on the opposite side. And then once they had gone back inside and the door shut, then you could go over and get your books. It was, yeah, wow. But I am just so excited that the library is back up and running in any kind of a format. And this is going to be a hilarious set of holds, because there are holds that I put on hold that are like newer books that have been on hold for a long time, and they just happened to come in and they've been sitting on the hold shelf for the entire time that the library was closed. There's also books that I put on hold for March Mystery Madness that came in, but still looked interesting to me, so I'm going to read them anyway. So there's quite a little mix of stuff here. So let's just get right into it. This is my book haul from my very first curbside pickup. The first book I got is The Bonfire by S.D. Sykes. I have read the series that S.D. Sykes wrote. I forget what the series was called. There was 3 of them, but they're like historical mysteries that I really enjoyed. And this one I believe is a standalone, but don't quote me on that. With this great tagline: "They locked the plague out, but they locked a killer in." So this is set in 1361. Plague has returned to England 13 years after the devastation of the Black Death. As destruction advances toward his estate in Kent, Oswald de Lacy leads his family to the safety of a remote castle in the marshes, where his friend Godfrey is preparing a fortress to survive the coming disaster. The rules are clear. Once the de Lacys and other guests are inside the castle, the portcullis will be lowered and no one permitted to enter or leave until the pestilence has passed. And then a murderer strikes. Oswald is confronted with a stark choice: leave and face the ravages of the plague, or stay and place his family at the mercy of a brutal killer. With word of his skills as an investigator preceding him, it falls to Oswald to unmask the murderer in their midst. Host, guest, or servant, everyone is a suspect in this poisoned refuge of secrets, deceit, and malice. So what's great about this is that it's a historical mystery, which I love, but it's very much a closed circle mystery as well, because you've got a group of people shut into, in this case, a castle, and so the killer has to be one of them, and that's a kind of mystery that I really enjoy. So I'm very interested to see, I believe this is one of the first times I've read that trope in a historical mystery, and this came out in 2019. And then I also picked up Death of the Party by Carolyn Hart. This is from the Death on Demand series, and this is one of those books that I picked up for March Mystery Madness. And I cannot remember why. But I enjoy this series, and it's been a really long time since I read this book, so I'm going to read it anyway, and maybe it'll jog my memory as to why I had gotten this book out. The Death on Demand series is about, what's her name now? Annie Darling. That's right, Annie and Max Darling. Annie owns a mystery bookstore in Broward's Rock, which is an island just off the coast of Florida, I believe. And so the reason why I was attracted to this series in the first place is, of course, because she runs a mystery bookstore. Awesome, right? This is the 16th in a series of about 26, I think. And this was just always a really fun, cozy mystery series. And in this one, the murder of an unloved media magnate maroons the... Wow. Media magnate maroons the crime-solving darlings on a remote island with a killer in the latest Death on Demand delight from the incomparable Carolyn Hart. I don't know who wrote that, but they love their alliteration. And then I also finally got The Splendid and the Vile by Erik Larson. This is his latest. This is non-fiction, and I believe this is, 2020. It's a 2020 release. It's a portrait of Winston Churchill and London during the Blitz, and I am super excited about this. I enjoy Erik Larson as a writer. He always finds interesting tidbits of history to write about, and I believe there are unending stories that you can tell about the war. And this one in particular, he is focusing on Winston Churchill and his experiences during the war. Is interestingly enough, on his first day as Prime Minister, Hitler invaded Holland and Belgium. And so it says that he shows how Churchill taught the British people the art of being fearless. So I'm really excited to get into this one. And then I have Jane and the Man of the Cloth by Stephanie Barron. This is the second in her Jane Austen mystery series. And this is, I'm going to give it a shot. I DNF'd the first one. And I wasn't actually very far into it at all. Like, I had read less than 5 pages. But the reason I DNF'd it was because it was supposedly written as diary entries. First person Jane Austen is writing these diary entries, but they did not read like diary entries at all, and that annoyed me so much that I just gave up. I took a quick look at this one, and it appears that the author gave up on that idea. Thank goodness. And so I'm going to give this one a try and see if I get on any better with these. So these are essentially mysteries where Jane Austen is the sleuth. So I'm willing to give it a shot. And then this is called Beheld by TaraShea Nesbit. And I have absolutely no idea how I heard of this book. But it looks like a historical fiction. 10 years after the Mayflower Pilgrims arrived on rocky, unfamiliar soil, Plymouth is not the land its residents had imagined. Seemingly established on a dream of religious freedom, in reality the town is led by fervent Puritans who prohibit the residents from living, trading, and worshipping as they choose. By the time an unfamiliar ship bearing new colonists appears on the horizon one summer morning, Anglican outsiders had had enough. With gripping immersive details and exquisite prose, TaraShea Nesbit reframes the story of the Pilgrims in the previously unheard voices of 2 women of very different status and means. She evokes a vivid, ominous Plymouth, populated by famous and unknown characters alike, each with conflicting desires and questionable behavior. Suspenseful and beautifully wrought, Beheld is about a murder and a trial and the motivations, personal and political, that cause people to act in unsavory ways. It is also an intimate portrait of love, motherhood, and friendship that asks whose stories get told over time, who gets believed, and subsequently, who gets punished. So that sounds very interesting. I've never heard of this book or the author before, and this is also a 2020 release. And another book that I'm guessing I picked up for March Mystery Madness, but again I can't remember why, is called Murder on the Leviathan by Boris Akunin, translated by Andrew Broomfield, translated from the Russian. And I have heard of this series, and I very likely have read maybe some books in this series. I can't remember. But what attracted me when I was looking at this was the fact that the stories are connected to Agatha Christie. Like they've got this like homage to Agatha Christie. So, Paris, 1878. Eccentric antiquarian Lord Littleby and his 10 servants are found murdered in Littleby's mansion on the Rue de Grenville, and a priceless Indian shawl is missing. Police Commissioner Papa Gauche recovers only one piece of evidence from the crime scene, a golden key shaped like a whale. Gauche soon deduces that the key is in fact a ticket of passage for the Leviathan, a gigantic steamship soon to depart Southampton on its maiden voyage to Calcutta. The murderer must be among its passengers. In Cairo, the ship is boarded by a young Russian diplomat with a shock of white hair, none other than Erast Fandorin, the celebrated detective of Boris Akunin's The Winter Queen, which I'm not sure if I've read. The sleuth joins forces with Gauche to determine which of 10 unticketed passengers on the Leviathan is the Rue de Grenelle killer. Tipping his hat to Agatha Christie, Akunin assembles a colorful cast of suspects, including a secretive Japanese doctor, a professor who specializes in rare Indian artifacts, a pregnant Swiss woman, and an English aristocrat with an appetite for collecting Asian treasures, all of whom are confined together until the crime is solved. As the Leviathan steams toward Calcutta, will Fandorin be able to out-investigate Gauche and discover who the killer is, even if as the ship's passengers are murdered one by one. I'm starting to wonder if these books were maybe picked up for the video that I did on closed circle mysteries, because this would be a closed circle mystery. If they're all stuck on a ship, that's technically closed circle. And this one would also be, if the murder happens on a small island that everybody's stranded on, that would be closed circle as well. So, who knows? Maybe after I read these 3 books, including this one, which is definitely a closed circle, I might have to do a closed circle mystery video talking about these 3 books. Does that sound interesting to you? Is that something you would be that you would like to watch? Okay, 2 books left to go. G is for Grafton, The World of Kinsey, Millhone by Natalie, Hevener, Kaufman, and Carol McGinnis K. This book I wanted for the video that I did for March Mystery Madness that was about Kinsey Millhone. I did a whole video on, well, I did a couple of videos. I did a video on the series that Sue Grafton wrote, but I also did a video, where I compared the 2 detectives, Kinsey Millhone and Miss Marple. And so this book would have been great reference for that video. But I am still going to get it. So yeah, they delve into the life of Kinsey Millhone by going through the books and discovering what they can about her and what type of detective she is. So I'm still going to read this because it still sounds very interesting. And then finally, The Lost Orphan by Stacey Halls. This is also a new release. Let me double check that. 2020. 2 women from different worlds and a secret that will change everything. London, 1754. 6 years after giving up her newborn Clara, to London's Foundling Hospital, young Bess Bright returns to reclaim the illegitimate daughter she has never known. Dreading the worst, that Clara has died in care, the last thing she expects to hear is that her daughter has already been reclaimed. Suddenly, her life is turned upside down as she searches to find out who has taken her little girl and why. Less than a mile from Bess's rough lodgings, Alexandra, a wealthy widow, barely ventures outside her well-appointed townhouse. When her close friend, an ambitious doctor at the Foundling Hospital, persuades her to hire a housemaid for her young daughter, she is hesitant to invite a stranger into her home. The secret in her past is about to explode her carefully constructed world. Set against the vibrant backdrop of Georgian London, The Lost Orphan explores families and secrets, class and power, and how the pull of motherhood cuts across them all. So that sounds very interesting. So yeah, that is my very first ever curbside pickup from the library, and I am excited about all of these books. Have you read any of these books? I'd love to hear about what you thought about them down in the comment section below, and I will see you for another video soon. Bye.